Rapid!
Whoa, reviews!
Reviews!
I almost blew it by not saying reviews.
What's up, everybody? I'm Nick.
I'm Mike.
This is Rapid Reviews, where we go through everything we played in the month, that previous month, which in this case was August 2020.
It's always a little weird, because it's coming out in September.
Yeah, exactly.
But it's from August.
We're in September. So this is us basically going through quick reviews, kind of what all we played in the month, because it's nice to be able to remember what we played.
Kind of recap. What did we do last month? Yeah.
Some stuff we liked, some stuff we didn't like, and just kind of, we don't really do reviews. We're like, this is a kind of cool, quick way to do it, and very much more our style than like a sit-down review.
How did we feel about our month of gaming?
I think it was a pretty good month.
It's a really good month.
Yeah.
I'll start off right now. First thing, probably this is going to be a top 3 for sure guaranteed game of 2020.
Yeah.
If not the number one. We played a butt ton of My City.
How many years?
We are slightly over half. No, we played 15.
No, we haven't.
Individual episodes.
Wow.
We've completed 5 chapters. Each has 3 episodes.
That's intense.
My City is a Reiner Knizia legacy game.
Yeah. It was nominated for the Spiel.
It was. And it's
What one?
I don't even remember. That was months ago.
It wasn't My City.
Years ago. I think it was
What
The
one
Crew.
is it? No, that was Kennerspiel, though. This is Kinder.
Oh, Pictures won.
Pictures. That's right. Pictures beat
That
this
was
game.
a wrong choice
Woo!
compared to this. My City is a polyomino game where you are trying to place out your different tiles. Like basically, a flip a card says everyone needs to put this specific building. There's 3 colors and different shapes. So you're gonna have this color and this shape. You have to put it into your little board. And every 3 episodes makes up a chapter.
Yeah.
And each chapter sort of has an overarching thing that's going on. We don't want to talk specifically, but you kind of develop the area that is the board throughout the game. So all of a sudden, stuff you're trying to do changes. All of a sudden, the way that the buildings work might change.
Yeah.
And it's this kind of ever-evolving thing.
And each new chapter introduces like a new element. And then
new
usually
element
those
to the
3
game.
games are revolving more or less around that element. And then usually having all the stuff in the previous chapters too.
Yeah, and so it's we are loving playing this. It's you, me, and Karen playing.
Good, yeah.
And it's great because it's a legacy type game that is bite-sized, I guess is the word I want to say.
Compared to something like Gloomhaven or Pandemic.
You can actually get through it in a timely manner.
Yeah.
Like you can play it because each individual game is like 25
Like you're
minutes
expected to play
max.
a chapter at a time.
Yeah,
basically.
you're supposed to play. Basically, they budget it for you to play 3 episodes in a sitting, which will be about an hour and a half long experience, which makes up a chapter, and it totally does fit within that, which is so great because we're over halfway through this.
So I'm kind of
and I'm feverish to play more because you're always so close to a new chapter, and the game kind of clips along.
And it's pretty cheap too for like, it's like 30 bucks.
30
Yeah,
bucks.
for $30. We're just like, are you kidding me? Like, that's great. My City's
Crazy
dumb
value.
good. Yeah.
Yeah, like for my money at this moment, taking it right now, it's probably the best game of 2020 for me.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite so far.
No
Yeah,
doubt.
I really
It's
like it a
so,
lot.
so fun. Anyway, that is My City. Reiner Knizia doing Legacy, so you know it's going to be great. That's
good.
awesome. What else did we do?
Next we played, we got back on The Crew. The crew got back together. We actually had taken kind of like a couple month break from The Crew. It was always our most played game of the month. And then we got busy.
all in hypersleep.
We usually play with Matthew, Paula, Mike's fiance Karen, and then us two. And we started playing The Crew, which is a co-op trick-taking game. It's still incredible. It's still great.
So good.
We played at 5 players, which is super hard. It's bananas. We love it. I freaking love The Crew. It's so fun. So we played
such a good
online.
game.
It's awesome. The Crew, you've heard us talk about it before. If you haven't tried it, if you like trick-taking games, you like co-ops, give The Crew a try. It's incredible.
It's awesome. A game that I've played a bunch this month, and we actually picked up but haven't had a chance to play with you guys. I've been playing on Board Game Arena is Tzolk'in.
Been trying to get
the
it played,
Mayan
yeah.
calendar. I know I want to so bad. We always just don't quite have enough time.
Nah, never quite enough time.
So Tzolk'in is an awesome game that has like one of the coolest mechanisms of all time.
Yeah, the gears.
It uses these gears. And the way it works on a turn is you either have to place 1 or more workers on some gears, or you can take 1 or more workers off some gears. That's how it works. You never will do both in the same turn. You're either hopping on or hopping off, and it's all about timing.
Yes.
Because there's these 5 different gears you can put workers on, and based on whichever gear you place it on, it'll kind of focus in a different area of the game, and generally, the longer a worker is on the gear, the more powerful the actions become.
Because as the big gear turns, all the small
Every
gears
turn it
and
clicks 1 space for the most part. So it's this thing all about getting your workers on, knowing how long they need to go on, to time up for all of them to come off at the same time or at different times. You might stagger it, and I'm by no means an expert, but it's so fun.
Yeah.
It's so fun. It's
such a
incredibly
cool idea.
tight
Yeah.
resource-wise and stuff, and it's just such a cool game to figure out that timing. I've like never seen anything like it. And I just got like a wild hair. I mean, I saw those on Board Game Arena, and it got me. It's like, man, I really want to play Tzolk'in. We've only played it 1 time.
Yeah.
And I played it like 4 times this month. It's so good. So Tzolk'in.
That's awesome.
real
love
tasty.
some Tzolk'in.
It's real tasty.
Yeah, real good, real good. Shouts out to the Yeez board
Shouts out
game.
to the Yeez for teaching us Meeple Overboard, man.
Meeple Overboard, that's
Appreciate
right.
you.
Oh, so good. Next game we played was Cartographers. I actually played this a couple times. I actually played a big game of this with our patrons on our Discord. We have a patron-specific channel on our Discord.
Yeah.
And we play, we play games with our patrons. We try to relatively often, and this one I was like, I want to play. It had been a while since we played some games with our patrons. I was like, here, I'm gonna try and play like a big game so we can get as many people into it as possible. Because a lot of times we're playing games like you can only have like 2 or 3 people in there because most games are like 2 to 4, and a lot of people have Cartographers. So I was like, okay, cool. I'll basically you can stream inside Discord, and so I basically streamed it. We were in our own channel.
Whole deal, yeah.
That was only for the patrons, and we played. We had I think 16 people there or so like that. It was really, really cool. Really fun. So we played that. We also played it on stream last week.
Yep, and we gave away some codes for the app, which Cartographers is now an app, which I have, and I've played a bunch of the app. It's really fun.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Cartographers, it's good stuff. It's probably the best.
It's the best roll, right? I don't care what anyone says. It's the best roll, right?
It's hard to argue otherwise. It's real solid.
Yeah.
Another game that we played that we hadn't played in a while, some KLASK.
KLASK.
We got back into the old rivalry playing some KLASK.
Action. We used to play KLASK on stream. It was like our end of the game night. We used to play all the time.
It's still just probably the best way to end a stream. It's so fun.
Yeah, KLASK is kind of like air hockey-ish on
it's like a dexterity game.
Yeah, a little dexterity game where you have 2 goals, your 2-player game. Although there's a 4-player version now, which is crazy.
Seems fun.
But you have these magnets, and so you have a magnet on top of the board, and then you have a magnet on the bottom of the board, and that's how you move around. You have your
hand's not in the way.
Yeah, underneath the board, and you're trying to hit the ball into the other person's goal. But then there's these little marshmallows that are also magnetic. So if you get too close to a marshmallow, it'll lob onto you. And if you ever get 2 of those, you lose. Yep. Also, if you your goal is like this little hole, if you actually put your pawn in the hole, you also lose. And
so it does happen pretty easily.
It does. So there's 3 different ways to score. You can get 2 marshmallows on the opponent, have them cause a KLASK, which is when they go in there, or scoring a goal. So it's one of the things because there's multiple things to pay attention to, it's really, really fun. But then it's just like air hockey where you're just hitting the ball around.
Yeah, it's just quick dexterity stuff.
It's so much fun. It's ridiculous.
It's just a great, that game will never be boring. KLASK is one of the most just pure fun games of all time.
It's just so good.
So fun.
Yeah.
Finally, Nick, you know what happened?
What happened, Mike?
Root came out in digital form.
Oh, yes, that's right. You've been playing it a lot.
Root is back in my life.
Yeah.
So when
we got rid of Root.
The second we heard that Root was coming to digital around this time last year, we said, cool, we're getting rid of our copy of Root because we're never going to play it. It just doesn't happen. We need 4 players and stuff. And as soon as I knew that there was going to be another option to play, I was like, cool, I'm good. I'm happy to wait. And those days are here. Root is here on digital.
So I haven't played it yet. How is it?
It's great.
Yeah?
It's great. It's smooth. It's in early access still, so they're still sorting out a couple things, but it works really well. And it's fantastic because you can play against AI, you can play against people, you can play against a mix. So you can always have the player count game. You can always have the factions you want to play. And the tutorial system is really good because it gives you a tutorial which sort of shows you about the game, and you're playing as the cats there, but it's just a general tutorial. And then they have faction-specific tutorials. They show you how to play the cat. They show you how to play the birds. And after you do those first 2 tutorials, it's like, hey, would you like to try a game of the cat versus the birds to see how that plays out? Sure, I'd love to do that. Then you can get into the Woodland Alliance. Then you can get into the Vagabond. And then they have challenges where you can play against 2 easy AIs or 2 medium AIs. So there's all this way to play. And it's yes, now if ever...
That's pretty good.
They can be. There's easy, some friends of mine who are much better at Root. They're it's kind of easy. I'm I get destroyed by easy AI all the time. So I don't know what you're talking about, but I'm also not
bad at
great
Root.
Root.
So.
But it's fantastic to be able to play when you want, how you want, at any time. I'm yes, Root for my money should only exist digitally because that's the only way I'm going to play it.
Play it for sure.
So it's great. Anyway, Root app.
I'm excited for it. I want to try. I just haven't gotten a chance to get around to it.
Real fun.
Yeah, really, really good stuff. We played Cloud City. We actually did a sponsored stream for Blue Orange.
Shouts out to Blue Orange.
Shouts out to Blue Orange. And we gave away 5 copies of this game. But Cloud City is a new Phil Walker Harding game. Praise be. Praise be to Phil Walker. And so this is a new game called Cloud City. And it's it kind of reminds me of Tokyo Highway in that way, where you have this kind of grid up in the clouds. You're building these buildings, water buildings, plant buildings, and what's the other one?
Desert
buildings. Colors.
Forest, water, and desert.
Yeah, exactly. And then you're essentially building these buildings on your board, and then depending on how far they are away from each other, you'll put down these essentially walkways between the buildings. So like tunnel walkways to get from building to building. That's how I think
living
of
in
it.
the sky.
You're living up in the sky. And so essentially, the longer the walkway you build between the two points, the more points they're worth. So if there's 5 spaces away, it's worth 5 points. And so you're building these things around. So you have this like, it's interesting because you have this like multi-level board.
City,
yeah, because some of them are shorter, so the paths will go in between, but then ones
and
can
your
go
footprint
over.
is only 3 by 3, so it's very small.
Yes.
So you have to kind of build efficiently because you can't go out very far.
Yeah, it's basically if you've played the Bad News Bears, or what are they called?
The Bad News Bears
Bad News
expansion
Bears Barren
for
Park
Barren
expansion. It's like the monorails. That's really where this idea came from. The monorails are very similar to this. It's really, really fun though, because it's thinky, but it's very simple.
Yeah, it's super simple. You're going to have a hand of 3 tiles, and you can play 1 tile on your turn, and you'll pick up a new tile. And that's really all you're doing. You're building these buildings, trying to create long pathways. And then there's some, we played in the second game we played of it, these sort of public objectives where if you have the longest kind of continual path of a certain type, you can get these bonus points. And I really recommend playing with that.
Yeah.
It kind of gave a little extra to think about, but it kind of becomes this interesting spatial puzzle as you play it. Yeah. So it's not my favorite Phil Walker Harding game, but like I did really enjoy kind of the puzzly nature, especially with those little, they have some objectives that give you points, and there's also some objectives that will take points away if you do. Because then it starts to really become an extra thing to think about, which is cool, but it's a perfect Phil Walker Harding type game where it's incredibly simple to understand how it all works.
Yep.
And then it's just kind of puzzly. Yeah. Like that's what that dude does. So
great.
Another good one from Blue Orange and Phil Walker. Praise be.
Praise be.
Praise forever.
Indeed. We each played, although not with each other, we each played Pagoda with Mike's fiancée, Karen. Mike was out of town, and Karen and I wanted to play a game because I was here working. And I was like, I don't think Karen has played Pagoda. And I was like, I bet you she would like that game a lot.
Yep.
So we played Pagoda, and she loved it and destroyed me per usual. And then you played with her as well.
I did. She was so happy with her wins, her dominance, that she wanted to come flex on me. And
did she?
I think we split games. I think she won 1, I won 1. So that was pretty good. But Pagoda is just a fantastic 3D game.
Yeah.
Super simple, super satisfying because you're always scoring points on every turn, so it feels really good. And it's kind of about like make your opponent do some work for you so that you can get like the bonuses and things. It's just a dope game. I forget until I play it. I'm always like, man, this is really good.
Yeah.
It's super
so
solid
good.
game.
It's one of the best 2-player games.
Yeah, it's been in our collection for a while as a result. Super good.
Really, really good game. Love it. You played Teotihuacan.
I did. Also on Board Game Arena, Teotihuacan, which you showed me. Yeah, Board Game Arena is horribly ugly, but it works well. Teotihuacan works really well on there.
I played on Board Game Arena. It's fine.
It takes care of a lot of the bookkeeping for you. So like it tracks all your resources. When you go to a space to collect wood, it sees what dice you have there and what level. It just gives you the instantly gives you the amount of wood you need. So I played a bunch of that this month on Board Game Arena. It's super fun. Teotihuacan's great, and you can play it in like 40 minutes on Board Game Arena. It's super quick, almost too quick to the point where I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing here because this is clipping along so fast.
Yeah, that's what I don't like about Board Game Arena. The games are too fast.
Yeah, and then like the scoring, like the eclipses happen in an instant because it's all computers. Like that's how many points you have. That like you almost feel like you haven't accomplished anything.
Yeah, I completely
it's like
agree.
that's one downside with that and like Tzolk'in and stuff. It's just like, and the game's over. You're like, oh, I thought there'd be more fanfare.
Why I don't like Board Game Arena is it doesn't feel like I'm playing a board game anymore. Like if I'm playing on Tabletop Simulator or Tabletopia, I still feel like I'm playing a board game.
At the board,
I'm very
around.
taken out of it because I can't actually touch things, and board games are the tactile nature of board games is a very big deal for me. But I still feel like I'm still moving stuff around. I'm still doing stuff. I still feel like I'm playing a game. When I'm playing on Board Game Arena, I no longer feel like I'm playing a board game anymore. All I'm doing is clicking.
Different experience.
I click, my workers goes over there to that. It does everything for me. I no longer feel like I'm playing a board game. And that's why I don't like playing games on Board Game Arena.
That's fair.
Because to me, I'm like, well, I'll just do something else.
I've enjoyed some plays, but there's some things that it just feels less impactful sometimes.
Yeah, it just feels like it's so unsatisfying.
It's the way
that's
I can
my
play
personal
a game,
opinion
so I'm gonna keep
towards
doing
Board
it.
Game Arena. But yeah,
that's Teotihuacan.
Yeah, we played Finden, which is a little roll and write kind of a game by Haba. And basically it's this game where you have this grid of shapes. There's like five or six different kinds of shapes, and you roll out you roll out 5 die. And then you'll get a combination of different shapes, like a blue shape, 2 reds, a purple, and a yellow. And you're like, okay. And then you essentially have to find those shapes in here all connected adjacent. There's basically a bunch of different shapes that are possible to find. Basically,
Yeah, you're
5.
allowed to find only certain types of shapes.
Yeah, exactly. Because those are all things you can find in a grid case with 5 adjacent. That was the worst way to describe that ever, but we get it. But and it's in your time too, so it's really, really hard. We played it once with just us and Karen, and then we played it on stream.
Played puzzle mode.
Played puzzle mode with people at home, and it was really, really fun. It's very difficult.
Yeah.
And stressful in a good way, because you're trying to find stuff before everyone else, and it's really fun. Firefighting is a great little roll and write.
Absolutely. Yeah. Jump cut. All right, so next, Karen and I played Atheneum Mystic Library.
Latest book library game from Renegade.
It is a fantastical library game. Who knew? We needed more.
I did. Honestly, I would want more.
Yeah, no, this one's
I really
cool.
like that theme.
This is a much different game than Ex Libris, which is the other Renegade game that's about a mystical library. And this one, you're kind of students who are making use of a library. You're not like running a library. Yeah. So it's a different thing. And this is ultimately a card drafting game. So what you're doing is you're drafting out these cards. And on the card, there'll be kind of different sections. There'll be a bottom section, and then a top left and a top right section. And the way it works is if I choose to play this card, I get what's in the bottom section. Mm-hmm. My opponent to my left gets what's in the top left section. My opponent to my right gets what's in the top right section. So it's this really interesting card drafting where I am not only worrying about what I'm passing to my opponent, but I'm also worried about what am I giving them on any turn. And then also, I'll be receiving stuff from their cards, but it's kind of like, ooh, the stuff on the bottom of this card is really tasty for me, but I might give something really good to my opponent, so do I want to play that? So like that was really cool.
Yeah.
And then what you're doing is you're gaining books to put onto a bookshelf, because basically the thematics say that you're studying for a test tomorrow and the librarian lets you in after hours, but they say like, do me a favor and like clean up the library, reorganize it a little bit while you're doing your work. So we can get basically different color books into different orders to fulfill cards. These kind of contracts, I guess you will. And so you're trying to get the right cards into the right things and fill up your shelves to score points and stuff like that. And then in the second half of the game, you get less opportunity to gain books, but you have more opportunity to reorganize your shelves to then, again, fulfill more of these kind of contract cards. And it was like a super cool game. It's similar to Ex Libris, where all the little book tokens all have unique titles and stuff, so it's a lot of fun living within its theming. And the card drafting was super interesting.
Cool.
So I really enjoyed it. I'd love to play it again.
I want to try that one. I haven't had a chance to yet.
It's Atheneum Mystic Library.
Mystic Library. We played at Caverna Cavers Cave, which one of our followers, shouts out to Nabari, gave to us.
Cheers.
We love Caverna, and we haven't ever played any of the 2-player only games of those Uwe games. We haven't done like Agricola, All Creatures Big and Small, or like La Havre, Port versus Port, whatever the heck it's called. And this one's Caverna Cavers Cave, and it was really fun. I actually, not that I was expecting it not to be, but it was a good little game. Like it kind of felt Caverna-y, where you have certain actions you can do, but each round a new action gets revealed, and so you have more and more actions as you go, and you start getting more dwarves to be able to do the actions. And yeah, it's a much smaller version, obviously, but it's pretty quick. It's still got some strategy and stuff to it. I thought it was pretty cool.
Yeah, you each get your own personal little cave that you excavate, and those are tiles that will flip over to become buildings that you or your opponent can then purchase to put back in their cave for scoring points and stuff. And it was like,
it was good.
Yeah, really fun and really quick. And you can solo it, which we haven't done yet. But Caverna Cavers Cave, I like really quite enjoyed. Especially the little trackers for resources. You're not getting a butt ton of actual things.
Nice. Yeah, it's nice to get
slide it up and down.
Trackers for resources should be more of a thing.
It's pretty nice.
What's next, Mike?
We played Claim at the end of the stream. We played a little 2-player trick-taking game. That's fantastic. It has all these different, there's 2 versions of just base game Claim, and then also expansions that all add different factions. Yeah, so in a game you're going to play with 5 factions of cards, and the cards will do different things. They're all fantastical. There's dragons and gnomes and trolls and giants and seers and things like that. And the different types of cards all act differently.
And what you're trying to do is you essentially score a point if you have the majority of one faction.
Yeah, at the end of the game. So the first half of the game is sort of giving you cards for the second half of the game, which you're then trying to get majorities of the 5 factions. If you have a majority of the majorities, you win.
Yeah, exactly.
And so it's just a really fun game, and with all the variability of those factions, you can put together some really fun combos.
Yeah, it's really cool the way the two phases of the game works, where the first phase is just setting up the second phase.
Yeah.
It's very, very weird, but very, very cool. I really, really like Claim a lot. And we still haven't played most of the factions.
Yeah, we got more to explore for sure.
Yeah, freaking love claims so much.
Super solid.
Yeah. So, good stuff.
Yeah, I taught a friend Clans of Caledonia on Tabletopia, which works really well on Tabletopia. We had to give it a go.
Yeah.
Clans of Caledonia is a fantastic game. It's incredibly highly rated. It's in the top 100, I do believe, on BGG.
Yeah.
It's a game where you're a Scottish clan and you're trying to claim area of this board, and you're putting out different all these different tokens and stuff, or these little wooden bits. Actually, it's actually a really nice production that will give you different things. So you can put cows out into these lands and stuff, and cows will produce 1 milk every turn for every cow you have. But then you can also build a cheesemonger factory, a cheese factory, so that every round you can turn 1 milk into 1 cheese and stuff like that. So you're kind of trying to get these different resources, both kind of unrefined and processed resources, to then fulfill contracts is ultimately what you're trying to do. Because a contract might require you to have 3 wool, 2 cheese, and a bread. And so you can get these different ways to get these resources turned in for a contract, which gives you most of your end game scoring. So it's just a really cool game because it's easy to understand. You have this player board, and the more stuff that's out on the main central board, it reveals more things that you get. And it's just easy. It shows you on your board. If you have 2 cows out there, you're gonna see 2 little milks. Yeah. Oh, I get 2 milks.
It's very intuitive.
So it's really easy to understand, and the game kind of clips along, but it's tight because you don't have a lot of time and everything costs money. And so trying to get stuff done is it's a challenge.
Yeah.
So Clans of Caledonia is super fun. I just enjoy exploring it.
Yeah.
And there's little.
Yeah, I want to play it more and more.
You get a little clan ability, so that gives you a little bit of asymmetry as well.
Yeah, asymmetry powers, always good.
Bam. I also played Cóatl with Karen, which is a colorful set collection game where you build Cóatl, which are kind of decorative sculptures of like a dragon god, and you're trying to become the Aztec high priest. And it's just really fun. It's super simple, kind of a Zoolish, I feel like, where there's a central board that has segments of the body. Yeah. You can get 2 body segments, or you can get 1 head or 1 tail. And there's like 5 colors. There's black, blue, yellow, and stuff like that. And then what you're trying to do is you're trying to assemble your Cóatl in such a way that fulfill these prophecy cards that want to have certain colors next to each other, or in certain orders and things like that. And you can sometimes score each card multiple times, where if you have a pair of 2 blues that's separated by something of a different color, you can score that twice to get points. So you're just trying to build these Cóatl out in such a way that you can kind of maximize on their points. And it was just a really cool, fun way to do a trick-taking game, or a set collection game, rather. So I quite liked it. Check it out if you're into colorful set collection. Yeah. It's really pretty. Yeah.
Yeah. I played Dungeon Petz. I played Dungeon Petz actually online. I've been wanting to try. It's on Tabletopia, and I've been wanting to try it out. I just hadn't had the opportunity, but I played with one Paula Deming of Paula Deming fame. And we just wanted to hang out. We usually paint minis together over like Skype or something like that, but we didn't have really much that we needed to paint at that moment. So we were like, let's play a game instead.
Love it.
And we wanted to play Dungeon Petz. She had never played before. I've been wanting to play and try it out on Tabletopia, so we tried it out, and it's just one of the greatest games ever made. It's definitely still my top 20. It might still be my top 10. I freaking love Dungeon Petz.
Love it.
It is a kind of like we were talking about in our top 10 remix video that came out last week, which will pop up in a card over here. But we're talking about, like, I love games that have very light and fun themes, but heavy mechanics. And that's like, Dungeon Petz is like always my go-to one to explain that. It's like very light theme. You're just making monster pets, and you're just like running out a little pet store. Super cute art, very cute, funny, weird, quirky little theme, but like a pretty heavy game underneath it. And that is like my bread and butter, and I love Dungeon Petz. And I had a great time playing with Paula, and it was really fun on Tabletopia. I was worried there was gonna be a little fiddly because there's kind of a lot going on.
Yeah,
but it actually wasn't too bad. No, it wasn't too bad at all. Awesome. You played Colt Express, though.
I did. This was on Board Game Arena, and this one was actually nice for Board Game Arena because it's ultimately a programming game. Yeah. And it works really interestingly. I've always wanted to try Colt Express because it's this cool 3D train.
Very cool.
And it was a fun game where you are playing cards out. And each round it might be different the way it works. But the cool thing is that you go around the table and you each play maybe 1 card to start, and it might be face up. And then you go around, and the second time, everyone's playing 1 card face down. And you're putting it into this 1 stack. And then the last ones, you're going to play 2 cards face up at the same time. And then you flip the deck over, and execute the program. So it's kind of this collective program where everyone's running around the train, punching each other, shooting each other, trying to grab loot, and you ultimately want to have the most money.
Yeah.
You've been the most successful,
Makes sense.
robbing this train. And so it's just a really cool, interesting thing where you're trying to like pay attention to what people have played, but then there's certain times where you don't get to see what they played.
Yeah.
And then every player has a little bit of a power as well. And you're just running around. And so the cool thing is like, oh, I was going to go up on the train and punch this person, but I didn't notice that they had played something where they went down, so they're not on the roof of the train anymore. Now I'm just like throwing haymakers at the air, looking crazy. So it's really interesting how, like a kind of a robo-rally type thing, your program can get messed up based off of what other people are doing. And you're trying to get money bags and gems and things like that. The only thing I didn't love was that I had a commanding lead. I had like done so well, and then there was something where it's like, oh, the person who fired the most shots in the game gets like $1,000 or something. So I ended up losing by 100, even though it was like I did what was in my book. I'm like so much more important work, and because this person just went like pop, pop, pop 3 times, they won. I was like, well, that's horrible. That's a terrible design. So other than that, which that was awful. Change that.
I don't like that at all.
The game was really fun. I liked it. Colt Express.
Awesome.
Always wanted to try it.
We've been trying, I feel like just for like a number of months now, we've been trying to get Great Western Trail on the table.
Yeah.
Just like, again, it's kind of like Tzolk'in, where we're always like, sometimes if we're like really on top of our work, especially on Thursdays, we might have like an hour or two before we have to live stream at 6.
Yeah.
And so we're like, oh, let's play a quick game. Like, play a game for fun, just for us, Not that we don't play games for fun on stream, we do, but it's like we don't get to play games just for playing game's sake as often as we'd like. And Great Western Trail, we always want to play, but we're always just like, do we have enough time? And to be fair, this time we had to like frantically put together our stream because we basically ran out of time. We finally got Great Western Trail back to the table with the Railways, I almost said Empires of the North, with the Railways of the North expansion on, which to me is like such a good expansion. I love it so much.
I really do want to always
Trail,
play it.
I feel like I'll keep saying this, but it might be my top 10. I freaking love Great Western Trail
top 10 for sure.
So much. I love it so much. It's a game where you're running cattle up to Kansas City. The expansion makes the selling cattle part, in my opinion, way more interesting because you have more stuff you can do up there. And you can put out like branchlets.
Yeah.
And it's just Great Western Trail. If you like heavy Euro games, give it a shot. It's so freaking good.
So solid, man.
Speaking
of solid, you know what's really good is Imperial Settlers Empires of the North.
Yes, indeed.
Oh my gosh.
Speaking of Empires of the North,
Such a good game.
We played this again.
Finally got to play it again.
Oh, so good.
It's just all these different factions based off of Imperial Settlers. And you have different factions, and you're trying each faction sort of as an engine within themselves. And you have to figure out how they work. And this last one I was playing, you basically get a lot of cards out, but you get a lot of ability to take cards out of your empire to score points mid-game.
Yeah.
So it's all about like building stuff up and then taking some cards out, then hopefully getting those cards back and building them again.
Yeah.
And
mine was all about like raiding and stuff like that.
You want to be sailing all day and stuff, so like very different. And it's just about who can kind of get their engine up and running the quickest.
Yeah, and the best, Yeah,
and it's just, I love it, man. It's so fun. I love the art style. You did.
Did I win? Okay.
Nick had more cards.
I will say this is one of the few games, and maybe I don't know if I'm good or you're bad, but this is one of the few games that like I'm again knock on wood. I'm gonna jinx myself now, but it's like I usually win, and this is one of the few games where I actually feel like I'm good at because I honestly don't think I'm good at the vast majority of games. Like I played Dungeon Petz, a game I played many times. I played with Paul, and she destroyed me.
Yeah,
and it's like. It's one of those things where I'm just like, almost every game I play, I'm always like, I'm just not good at this game, which I don't care because I love games. But Empires of the North, one game, I'm like, you know what? I'm good at Empires of the North.
Yeah. Be proud that you're good at it.
I'm good. I usually win. I'm very happy.
What else are we playing, Nick?
Oh, gosh, I don't know. What's over there? Oh, and Flash Firefighters. Yeah. Firefighting is a theme that doesn't get used enough, let's be honest. Everyone likes firefighters,
Yeah.
I feel like every country, every city probably has firefighters.
I would hope so.
It's one of those
Every
things.
city needs
it's kind of a universal job that's everywhere,
Yeah, fire is everywhere.
Fire is everywhere. Fire
don't care about borders.
Fire does not care. Fire, as NorCal knows, fire is non-discriminate.
It's go wherever it wants.
It just goes everywhere it wants. But Flash Firefighters is a hobby game, kind of a speed, it's a speed game basically where you have this kind of like long little board and you have this big slot in the middle of it. And essentially over here you have fire. And then over here you have a fire hydrant, and there's a bunch of these tiles out in the middle of the table, and the tires have hose on it. And the hoses go to different parts of the tile. So the hose might go like, so it starts here, ends here. It might go straight across the middle. Yeah. It might go here
There's
to like not all the way to the bottom.
Spots where the hose can be.
Exactly. So basically it's a speed game where you're grabbing tiles, putting them in your hose, and you have to make a continuous hose from your fire hydrant to the fire, and everything has to match perfectly. It is a kid's game, but it's pretty tough because the 5 positions, the tiles are only like this big, so they're relatively close.
They look pretty close at a glance.
You do have to pay attention. But this is a game that parents can play, kids can play with them, and kids can probably be pretty competitive with it because it's just, you're just seeing the pattern, and a lot of times kids are relatively good at that.
Yeah, it's about spotting the right thing quickly, and then if you win, you have to move your fire hydrant back, so you have to add an extra tile on the next turn, so it kind of makes it harder to keep winning. Yeah. So it's really cool.
It's a fun little speed game. Great game for kids, maybe a little bit older kids, not like 15, but like 6, 7, 8, probably like that. They probably really like it a lot. It's a good little game, hobby game, good stuff.
I played a game on Board Game Arena of Libertalia at 6 players. And two things I was reminded of. One, Libertalia is really good.
So good.
I love it. It's fairly simple to understand. Yeah. Like you choose a card of the 9 you have to start to play, and then you flip them over, and they get ordered in rank from low to high, from left to right. And they carry out their actions going that way. And then there's booty tiles. You're hoping to get treasure and things like that. And those execute from high to low.
I thought of a new metagame. Minute, continue.
Oh, cool. And there is benefits to playing certain cards at certain times. And so it's just a really interesting game. So I was reminded, A, how much I like it, and B, I was reminded how much I don't like it at 6 players, which is its max player count.
It's too
Don't
hectic.
do that. It's too hectic.
Yeah, it's too hectic.
You can't plan anything. Basically, you can have the best plan, and it won't matter because there's just too many elements.
This is a weird game where you want chaos, but there is too much chaos.
You want that game at 4 players.
4 players, maybe 5. You want slightly more chaotic.
There's people out there that can card count well enough to pay attention to what all other 5 people have been doing and all that, but I'm not that way. I don't want to be that way. 4 players, I can sort of track what's going on enough, but there's enough chaos that I might be foiled.
Yeah,
in 6
player is too much.
It's a crapshoot.
Yeah.
It's like, who knows what's going to happen.
Yeah.
You really don't.
There's no point even choosing your card. Just grab one at random because like you're going to get screwed every single time.
I had fun playing it, but I was just this is so much better at 4 players.
Yeah, Libertalia is great, but it's one of the things you need 4 players. Kind of a hard teach because you kind of have to teach all the different roles and how it works, but ultimately a really fun game. Great simultaneous selection game. Yeah. You played Mercado de Lisboa. It's like the roll, right? Or
it's a little filler game. Yeah. It's a tile placement game that's based off of the kind of market part of Lisboa. And so the whole game kind of zooms in on that part of the game. The whole game is just this market piece. And it's a tile laying game. It's a filler. It's about 30 minutes, but it's kind of a puzzly thing where you're trying to open up restaurants, you're trying to put out food stands, and then you're trying to bring customers to the market to hopefully sell them your stuff. So the way it works is you can put a stand out in a row or a column. It's all built into rows and columns. You can put a stand out like a tomato stand, and then you might be able to gain a pizzeria tile, which is a restaurant. And if a restaurant that matches that food type is adjacent orthogonally, it'll increase the value of that stand. And then there might be customers that will come in that are looking for tomatoes. So if there's 2 customers on this thing and you're in the same row, your little tomato stand is that they are, you will get 2 points in that instance, or 2 coins, because your stand will give you 1. The restaurant boosts its value to 2 times 2 customers, you get $4. Yeah. And it's all about having the most money. So it's interesting the way you build out the market, and then also the way you put customers out to hopefully it's in a row or a column where I have a bunch of stands and my opponent might have a chicken stand, and like they don't want that. So I get all the benefits, they get nothing. So it's just this interesting puzzly game. That was really cool. It's on Tabletopia, so I enjoyed it. I'd like to play it again because it's a filler, but it is a thinky filler.
Yeah, taking a big game like Lisboa and making like a little filler out of it.
This little part over
that's
here.
A very cool idea. You used to play Miyabi too.
I did. Another puzzly game, a tile-laying game from Haba. And you're trying to kind of build this beautiful garden with like fish ponds and bushes and rocks and things. And the way it works, it's kind of got a number 9 vibe where you can build out on your board, or you can stack things up and start building vertically. And the higher up you are, the more valuable stuff is, because if you're putting an element that has 3 rocks on it, And it's on the second level. It's 3 times 2. You get 6 points. And so you're trying to build up and out, and then also have a bunch of each land type showing at the end of the game, because if you have more red bushes than anyone else, you get bonus points and stuff like that. It's a great game. It's got like 5 modules in it. For different ways to play, and it's always one that every time we play it, I'm like, oh, this is nice. I want to play it more and play with those modules, because every time we play, it's been a long time, so we just play the base game, and I'm like, oh, I think the modules would really add a lot. So hopefully
I think we need to get better about just being like, who cares if we haven't played it in a while? We did that with Quadropolis for years. Like, we're like, oh, we don't want to play the advanced version because we don't play it often enough, and it's like, just play the other version. Yeah, it's like, there's no need to like not play it.
Right.
We got back on Pen Epic Legacy Season 1, Mike.
We're back!
Played one game. Last time we played was like a year and a half ago.
Yeah.
Last time we played before that was about a year and a half before that.
Yeah.
We just finished August. Oh, no, we just did our first game. We
failed our first game of August, so we have to see if we can do it again on the second try.
It was great. Still like the game, just for some reason.
It's so fun to get stuff and open boxes
it's great.
and things.
And one of our, if you watch us enough on Twitch, you can turn in these channel points to pick a game for us to play. And someone picked Pen Epic Legacy Season 1 for us to continue our journey on it.
They're bailing us out. They said, like, just now you have to play it.
Now you have to play
playing
it. And we did, and it was very fun. I hope we play it again soon.
I really do. I hope so, too. I also played the app version of Roll for the Galaxy, which is really fun. I forgot how much I enjoy Roll for the Galaxy. I've
only played that one time.
It's a dice version of Race for the Galaxy. We played it just one time before, and it's a really cool dice kind of allocation game where you'll get a certain amount of dice, and you roll those dice out, and then based on the symbols you get, you'll put them to one of 5 actions. And their actions will allow you to scout, which you can get money or get more tiles to hopefully build. You can settle planets. You can get these. You can develop these cards which give you abilities and things like that, so that all the tiles are double-sided. One's like a planet they can settle. One's like something you can develop, and then you can produce goods on those tiles, and then you can ship those goods for points or money and stuff. And so the cool thing is you get all your dice out, then you have to choose one of the 5 actions which you're going to lock in, which means guaranteed that action is going to happen this turn, because it's not a guarantee that all will happen. It's kind of like San Juan and these different games where there's different actions and things, and not all of them are always going to happen. So it's just a fun little game of trying to get this like empire built out, and they're worth points. And then, ship stuff to get points or money, and all that. So, Roll for the Galaxy is super fun. Yeah. And it's quick in the app. It's nice.
Yeah. We played a little, like a roll and write or
tick and write
version of Tekkenu, which is called Shadow of the Obelisk.
Yeah, it's a little tick and write kind of promo based off of Tekkenu. It's in the same theming and stuff.
Yeah, and so you have your obelisk, and the obelisk has a bunch of squares in it, just like a grid. And you have these tiles that have different kind of like Tetris-y type shapes on them.
In the 4 corners.
Yeah, and on your turn, you basically turn one, and then whatever shape is on the top of that tile, you get. Whatever shape's on the bottom, your opponents get.
Yeah.
And then you basically can do one of 2 things. You can fill in, you can actually outline some of the boxes in your obelisk, which means that you can then, which you're building it from the ground up. Or you can fill it in with like hieroglyphics and symbols and stuff like that. And then you essentially want all of the same symbols in a column. So the more you have in a column, the better. And then in rows, you want different symbols, kind of like crisscross style in that way, where you kind of want some of the same stuff.
You kind of got to focus on rows and columns at the same time, but they do
exactly. So when you get that shape, you can either outline that shape in your obelisk again from the bottom up, or you can grab symbols and put those symbols into your obelisk. And it was cool. It was fun. It was thinky. It was a good little. I think it's cool that it's like a little promo kind of thing.
Yeah, I think you can buy a print and play version of it out there.
It's cool.
It's puzzly. It's just a cool little roll and write.
Doesn't change the game with roll and writes, but it's fun.
Yeah, exactly. That's how I think about it. It's like it was fun. It was cool. Didn't change my world, but I enjoyed playing it. Yeah. So shouts out to Board and Dice for sending that along with our copy of Tekkenu. Yeah. Very cool. Jump cut.
Game we played last night, which is my favorite game of 2019, still is, and that is Sierra West.
I really like that game.
I freaking love it. Sierra West is another board and dice game. And it's a game about the old frontier. I realized this last year when Sierra West came out, and I realized, like, because I love the theme. I'm not a huge fan of Western themes, like pew, 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 like Western legends. I'm not a big fan of those kinds of themes, but I like frontier themes, which is what this is. I really like frontier, like just, going across the frontier. I like that kind of theme. And Sierra West is great. It's a cool, like, kind of like mix of like kind of programming, kind of like worker placement.
Yeah.
Slight bit of deck building. It's kind of amalgamation of a bunch of different stuff. But the cool thing is there's 4 different modules in the game.
Yeah.
Essentially 4 different modes you can play. We play with the boat and banjos, where you are collecting fish, selling those fish for gold. There's one that's about like apples, and you get like apple orchards. There's one about bandits, and there's one about like just mining for gold in the mountains. Yeah. Very, very cool, because they all play similarly enough where if you've played one, you don't have to like relearn a whole new game to play the other one, but they are all different and pretty different.
You're focusing on changes, but the way it works stays the same.
Yeah.
Which is cool.
Sierra West is great. We played it last night. It's incredible. I still freaking love it.
Still
one of the best covers in the game, too. I love the
beautiful cover.
Beautiful cover.
Speaking of Praise Be from earlier, Phil Walker Harding made a little roll and write, or flip and fill, I guess. Silver and Gold, which is a game where you have these cards that you can write on, and the cards will show different kind of
Silver and Gold's great.
areas where you're trying to X off all the squares because you're searching for treasure, essentially, for the theme.
Why is it called Silver and Gold, Mike?
Reasons.
No one knows.
Karen always said you should call it X marks the spot.
Yes.
Because that's searching for treasure, and that's what you're literally doing is you're
Xing off palm trees, which makes it feel like piratey, trying to find whatever.
It doesn't matter. It's a horrible title. But great game.
Horrible title.
Awful title.
Great game.
Great, awful title. And this one, so you're flipping over cards which give you polyomino shapes, and you're Xing off that shape somewhere in your thing, and then when you fill out all of the boxes on a card, that means you complete that card, you get those points. You can get coins, which lead to trophies, which is a bit of a race to be the quickest ones to get those. You can get palm trees. It's mostly about finding ways to fill out those little treasure cards.
All the cards are dry erase.
Yeah,
so you're actually drawing on the cards, which is
super fun.
I know, right?
So it's a fantastic flip and fill. I think
little filler.
Pandasaurus sells it.
Yeah.
So check it out. Silver and Gold. Horrible title. Great game. Praise be.
This is the worst. We played Spot. No. We're going to get to that in a bit. We have a thing we're getting to at the very end. We played Stone Age on Board Game Arena.
Yeah, we did.
Which, it's on Board Game Arena. I wanted to play
Nick
Stone
did
Age.
A big thing. He does not like playing games online, but he played with me.
I did.
To make me happy.
I played Board Game Arena specifically. Played Stone Age. I've actually played Stone Age on Board Game Arena before. Yeah. It's fine. Again, it's too quick. That's my thing. Is it doesn't feel like I'm playing a game. Yeah. But I love Stone Age.
Yeah.
Which is what matters.
It's a fantastic game. It's sort of a great intro, probably the best intro to worker placement games out there. We've talked a lot about it. It's sneakily, wonderfully thematic.
Well, you know what it does? Most worker placement games, you go to this spot with one worker, or the spot takes 2 workers, something like that. This is a spot where you can choose, for the most part, how many workers you put somewhere. And the more workers you put somewhere, the more powerful that spot's going to be. Yeah. I like that. I do wish more worker placement games did that kind of thing.
Yeah, it's kind of that worker investment thing, kind of Architects of the West Kingdom.
But the Architects of the West Kingdom, you're investing over multiple rounds, too. This one is like, no, you can spend 6 people
all
in
your
gold.
People there, yeah.
But it's like, it's very, very fun, though.
Yeah, Stone Age is fantastic.
It's
a classic.
Yeah.
I played another game of Tapestry.
I'm sorry.
I lost again, but I had fun, as always.
Where did you play? You played on Tabletopia?
It's on Tabletopia,
yeah. That's awesome.
Tapestry is just super fun. Problems and all, quite like it. I
have no problem. It's fine.
Yeah, it's fine. You don't have to.
I just like to crap on it.
You don't have to love it. It's fun to crap on things you don't love. I played a game of Tawantinsuyu, the Inca Empire, which is the next board and dice game coming out, I believe, around Essen time.
Yeah,
I think it's this fall.
Don't quote us on that.
So this is the next T game, and all those Tzolk'in, Teotihuacan, Tekenu, board and dice, who doesn't have Tzolk'in, but all the rest, be doing all these T games. And this one hurt me a little bit because it was just, board and dice makes heavier games.
Yes.
Daniel Tassini and stuff, they make heavier games and all that. And this one was one that I was sort of swimming for most of the time and came out of it I don't know really quite what I did. Teotihuacan is not a light game, but it feels slightly more accessible. Tekenu is not a light game, but it feels more accessible. This one felt heavier than both of those by a little bit, to the point where I was just like, this is a lot of brain power. It's a little less fun because I'm having to think a little more. It's not bad, but it's just a different experience.
See, so for me,
I need to play it again to give it a proper review, but I was just kind of I was just trying to keep track of stuff the whole time.
And especially for me, at least this is my personal, the way I have a much, much, much harder time learning heavier games or really grokking them if they're digital.
That wasn't, that
you know what
made
I mean?
it harder.
Yeah.
Because for me, we were playing in Tabletopia, so you can move the camera around.
You can't
always
look
just all
see
around.
Everything,
you can't sit back and get the vision as well.
You can, but it's not at all times.
Yeah.
There's something different about that, with digital games, where I have a much, much harder time understanding them because I can't just. Most times I'm just sitting here like this. Even when people were explaining stuff, I'm like, okay, but I can still see everything. I really think that makes a big difference, at least for me personally.
Yeah, same. Because with this one, it's a really interesting game, and I do want to play it again so I can sort of like really get some thoughts about it. But you're trying to do all these things and build stuff, and you're kind of working down this hill, and the way that you work and where you're placing workers out, cost corn and things like that, and so there's just all this stuff to think about, like, okay, well, my high priest is here, so this kind of section is the cheapest for me to go, but if I want to go to this spot over here, this color worker can match with that color space, which means I get to do 2 of the actions, because wherever you place a worker, there's kind of 3 spots adjacent to that space, and you can activate one of those spaces. But if you have a blue worker on a blue space, you can activate 2 of the adjacent spaces. So there's just a lot of stuff to think about, and you have to play these cards out at the same time, which allow you to go to spaces, because all the spaces have symbols on them. So there's just a lot of stuff.
That sounds like a lot, yeah.
And one where I'm like, I need to play that again because I don't really know what happened, but it was interesting.
Yeah, that's fine.
I probably at this point like Teotihuacan and Teotihuacan certainly higher than this one, but I would need more plays to truly make that
Terraforming
declaration.
Mars.
Great game. Play it on the app. Keep playing on the app. It's great. Love it.
On the app.
Moving on.
Yeah, it's great. It's great on the app. Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, which is the new in the Tiny Epic series, kind of a return to form, everyone says. We haven't played enough. I feel like I haven't played enough Tiny Epic games to understand what a return to form is.
But not nearly the majority of them.
Well, I don't know if it's my favorite. I definitely liked it a lot. It
was really fun. It's kind of a worker placement game. So you're placing workers in your like dinosaur ranchers.
Yeah.
You're ranching dinosaurs, selling them off for contracts at points and things like that. And it's this cool kind of balancing act because you have your farm or whatever, your ranch, and the more dinosaurs you have in it, the better ultimately, because you're trying to fulfill contracts ultimately. But for every empty space in your ranch, you will get resources for the most part.
For the most part, yeah.
And so it's this one thing that, like, well, the more dinosaurs I have, the more food I need to feed them. And then also you have to create pens so they don't just escape. So having a bunch of dinosaurs is hard to maintain because it's expensive, but it's also potentially very lucrative.
When they're in your
balance.
board, they're covering up this resource. You
don't get that
them.
Anymore.
So it's like
they're basically eating off the land or whatever.
Yeah, and the contracts usually need 3, and if you have private contracts, you need 4 dinosaurs. And it's like it's hard to maintain. It's a really hard balance, much more difficult than it seemed at first. But it was very fun. I liked it.
Yeah, I liked it. Tiniest little dinosaurs, adorable. Definitely really fun. So Tiny Epic Dinosaurs, give it a go if you have a chance. It's another great Tiny Epic game.
What the hell is Tippi Toppi?
Tippi Toppi is also known as Cahoots over here. It's a card game that I got the app for, and it sort of uses Uno mechanics where you have 4 cards out in front of you, and you are trying to fulfill these goals. And one might be to have 3 purple piles. There's always going to be 4 piles, and if at any point 3 of the 4 are showing a purple card, you get to instantly fulfill that contract or that bonus, and you get a new one. You're trying to get through the bonuses before you run out of cards. And the way it works when you're playing a card, you have to either match the color or the number. So if I want this green 1 to change, I need to have a 1 of a different color to change it to that color.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's like, oh, you want all 4 numbers to be ascending. So it needs to be 2, 3, 4, 5. Or you need to have the sum of all your purple cards that are down there equal 8. So you're trying to do all these different things to manipulate the cards, but you're limited in how you can play because you have to match color or number. And it's a really fun puzzle. Yeah. And the app gives you different difficulty levels and stuff. Cool. So it's, again, known as Cahoots over here, or Tippi Toppi most other places in Europe and stuff. It's really fun. I like it.
We played Underwater Cities.
Did you enjoy it?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
What, did you think I did?
No, I knew you did, but it's just, it had been a while. So it was like, finally we got to play it again. I was curious, did it live up to your memory of it?
Up in NorCal, and we've been wanting to get it for a long time, just had never pulled the trigger. Like, honestly, like, I don't know, there's multiple times we saw it at a con for like so on sale, cheap. And we were just like, ooh, and we kept being like, no.
Don't have bag space for it.
Yeah,
we could have gotten it at one point for like $25.
Yeah, it was. For some reason, we kept not getting it, despite the fact that we both liked the game and were intrigued by the game. So we got it. It's great. I really like it a lot.
It's fantastic.
I want to get the expansion.
Me too.
Yeah, it's really cool.
Yeah, it's a game where you're going to these different action spaces and hopefully pairing cards with it to do this stuff. And you're trying to build up this underwater city and this sort of Terraforming Mars-ish, in where you can get these cards out that give you production and stuff. It's not close to Terraforming Mars.
Vladimir Suki, great.
Yeah.
Yeah, great
Solid.
designer. Yeah, it's very cool, very fun.
Bam.
Lastly, before we get into Chop and Block August, was a Valley of the Vikings. We had a Haba night on stream. It's another Haba game. This is bowling. It's bowling.
Viking bowling.
Yeah, you basically have these different pins, and there's 4 pins, and the pins are different colors: red, green, blue, yellow. The classic, board game colors.
German colors.
Yep. And then you have a dock at the very top of the board, and the dock has spaces for your characters. The characters are
four colors.
red, green, blue, yellow. And then essentially what it is you have this little paddle, you have a little ball that goes a notch, and you hit the ball, and you're trying to knock over those little pins. For every pin you knock over, you get to move that color person up the dock. So if you knock over green, you move the green person up, and they hop over each other. But the thing is once someone gets to the end and then they hop off the dock into the water, you then stop and score.
Yeah.
And essentially every character that's on the dock that didn't get thrown off the dock then gets to score. So you don't want to get thrown off the dock. And then you'll essentially getting a certain amount of coins. You can maybe steal coins from each other, that kind of stuff. And at the end of the game, the person with the most coins wins. But it's this really fun balancing act of like trying to position yourself in the perfect place and then throw someone off the dock, preferably your opponent, so that they get nothing. But everyone's trying to do that. But it all comes down to you hitting these little pins. And so sometimes, and there's a bunch of different places you can put them in this circle. So you're like, okay, I don't want yellow to go. So I'm gonna put yellow all the way over here. I'll put the rest of the pins over here. And you have to try and hit them down. And of course, you just miss all the time.
Yeah.
It's so silly. So fun.
It's got just enough strategy to like really make the dexterity element of it really fun. Because then you're hoping to get something and then you miss and then it's funny and stuff.
Yeah, it's great.
And it's a super simple game, but like you can be strategic about it, both in how you place pins, how you try to hit those pins, and when and how you move. Because if you knock over 3 things, you choose what moves in what order.
Yes.
So if green's back here, but there's 2 things in front of it, I can hop you all the way forward and put you on a really bad space while I get to go to the
throw you off the dock.
Or throw you off the dock. So it's just...
Really weird, fun, silly. I think it won the Kennerspiel, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
So Wolfram Ring 4.
Kinderspiel.
Yeah, Kinderspiel, not Kenner. The Kennerspiel.
Yeah.
All strategy. All right, so that's the one for our main list, but we had a special thing going on in August, Mike, called Chop and Block August.
Chopping Block August. We had 4 games that had sat on our shelf since last year.
Well, we did a big cull.
We did a big cull.
Which you can check up here, a big cull.
We had some kind of leftovers. We're like, I'm not ready to get rid of this yet, but I don't know if it's along for our world.
Because we haven't played them yet, to be fair.
We should play them first. So we had 4 games and ended up keeping most of them. So let's talk about Spy Club.
Yeah, and we played them all live on stream.
Played them live on
and
stream.
At the end of the stream, we decided right then and there whether or not to keep it or chop it. So
should I stay or should I go?
So we played Spy Club.
Spy Club, which is Renegade Games, and it's a kind of a card flipping puzzle game where you're trying to get the right cards out into the central board in the right order and stuff like that. And
it's kind of a scenario game.
It's a kind of a campaign game.
Story
you can play like 5
yeah.
episodes. And so that was something I was always intrigued about. It's like, it's a family weight sort of campaign game. I was like, that's really cool.
Well, you'll get cards and the cards stay with you. And now we got like an informant at someone because you're trying to solve a crime.
So now a certain color, a certain style of cards, this kind of bully looking kid, is an informant. So now that card's different for us moving forward, which is super cool.
We ended up keeping that one because we're like, you know what? Like, that'll be fun kind of campaign to go through. It's very easy to go through, so we could probably do it relatively quickly.
And the types of actions and the way you work it, where you're getting cards into your hand, playing them out into the central board, is interesting. It's kind of a fun puzzle. There's a bit of memory because the backsides of cards might not be the same color. And so you're trying to work the puzzle of getting the cards out into the right spot. Yeah. So that's the type of thing that we enjoy doing, those kind of puzzles. Yeah. Like, okay, how do we get to, you got this, okay, if you play that, then I can get a red over here, then we have them all and we can trade cards. And then it has this kind of fun story element to it. So I'm super excited to try some more of that.
Yeah, we also played Escape Tales Low Memory, which we actually ended up keeping as well. Now, Escape Tales Low Memory and Spy Club were kind of had an edge because they're both finite games. Yeah. Whereas once we play through them, you've kind of played through them.
So I'm kind of like, oh, we can keep them while not having to keep them forever.
Yeah, but this is kind of like an exit the game, escape room kind of game where, but this one is involved and pretty darn tough, which was cool. But we played this one on stream. We had people helping us out.
Worked our brains
the tutorial was hard. But it's cool because it has a website that's attached to it. Yeah. So that basically you'll get these things, you'll get these codes, and then you basically have to figure out the puzzle and then put it in the website, and it'll tell you
you're right or wrong.
Whether or not it'll tell you now go grab this card so it's a very, very cool mix of like technology in the game. It was actually really fun.
It's also very story driven because you have different elements in a book you'll be reading to push the story forward, which is a lot of escape games are really puzzle focused, and this one is as well. But this one also is really about telling a tale as you go.
Really fun game. Cool. So we ended up keeping that one because we're like, hey, we can go through. Then
we can gift it somewhere else.
We
can reorganize it.
You're not ripping anything up or anything like that. So we're like, cool, it's perfect. And so again, those two kind of had a bit of an edge.
Yeah.
Now, one I was not expecting to keep, but we decided to keep was Abomination.
The Heir of Frankenstein. Now, this one was one that we got last year because we were like, you know what? The theme of this is super strong.
Yes.
It is,
so cool.
are, I think, the grandchild of Dr. Frankenstein, who created this creature. And the creature still lives, and the creature now wants a companion.
Yeah.
And so you were kind of picking up where your grandfather left off and trying to create another monster to be this creature's companion friend. And it's super dark. The theme is gnarly because you're just digging up bodies. You're going to a hospital. You're going to like a public execution.
Here's some money.
Like, yo, and you can hire people to docks to go get body parts for you, and you're trying to create like a nice fresh monster. And so you're getting all these cubes of like muscle and organs and bone matter, and then you have to like create a leg out of that, and then you have to create a finished leg with some skin, which now you need blood, and then you have to try to bring that body part to life. And like
it's real weird.
It lives heavily within its theme.
It does. It does not pull.
It does not make it cartoony. It is grotesque. It is dark. And I really appreciate that about the game, that it is exactly what it's trying to be. And it's not for everybody. And I think they were like, I'm okay with that. I want this to be bloody and like hard to stomach, sort of.
Now, we thought this one wasn't going to make it because we've heard a lot of things about how long it was, how it can be very swingy in terms of luck with dice rolls.
Right.
So we got, Rado told us actually to play with the Igor variant, which we hadn't heard about, but it essentially makes the game shorter. You can mitigate your dice rolls a lot more. And I tell you right now, I cannot imagine playing without that variant. Because we played it that one, we're like, let's just go play with this because everyone's saying it's better with this.
Shortens the game, really makes it a little bit easier to get stuff done. It jumpstarts the game for you. Every change to the Igor, not expansion, but changes or whatever, really helped the game out a lot.
Now, I will say, we were at the end of it, I was kind of like, look, I liked this game. I do not need to keep it, but I want to try it at different player counts. Because we played a 2-player game. I think I would like it more at 3 or 4. So we are actually planning on playing it with other people. And then we're going to make the final decision. But as of right now, we're keeping it because we actually did really like it a lot. And we're going to kind of
we have some interested parties who like want to play that with us. So we're like, okay, well, we know now like when or how it could get played. So we'll hang on to it for now. But that's we'll see. But one game that is not sticking around for us, which was incredibly surprising, was AuZtralia.
Yeah, this was...
I was shocked, man.
This was... I read the rulebook for this, and every single thing about the game, I was just like... I was reading the rulebook, I was like, yes. Yes. Yeah, it just seemed so perfect. We had kind of a cool, kind of apocalyptic theme, but on top of it was just like a Martin Wallace Euro game, trains and such. But it seemed cool. I love the action selection where you're essentially paying with time, kind of patchwork style. Yeah. And then the old ones kind of wake up and they have turns and they're like moving around stuff, and wrecking stuff and all this cool thing. I like the combat, the way the combat worked with this card system I thought was super interesting, super cool. I loved all the parts individually, and they came together in a product that I absolutely did not like.
Yeah, I don't know. It's baffling a little bit.
This might be my biggest disappointment ever. And here's the thing. Not saying this is the worst game I've ever played. It's not. It was fine.
But you expected it to be...
In terms of where I was
much more
expecting to be and where it was, this might be the biggest of that gap.
Yeah, I agree. Like every turn, it felt incredibly by the end of the game. I felt incredibly repetitive, and I also like had the wrong types of units for the wrong things, and I didn't know. You know, that's a bit of like playing for the first time. We
basically had to just be like, that outcome didn't happen and just keep going. No,
the game almost ended like 20 minutes in.
I put that down to just really bad luck. But yeah, it's just like I hate it. I did. I really did not like it at all, and I was convinced. I was talking it up so much the day we were going to play because I was teaching it to Mike, and I was like, dude, it's this, dude, and then there's this, dude, and then there's, and he was super pumped, and we played it, and as the stream went on, you just see us liking it less and less and less and less and less.
Yeah, I know.
That was a big disappointment.
It's one of those things that like, it's a solidly designed game. It's very good and all that. It just wasn't exciting. Yeah, you might not.
Every Martin Wallace game I've played, I've always been like, on.
Yes, yeah, you're right. I don't think it's your...
I was like, on Brass. I didn't like London. I don't like this.
Yeah.
That's not all of his games, but like, of the 3 I've played, you know, it's like I've been kind of
I really liked London and I liked Brass. I need to play both of them again. But yeah, I mean, and that might be it. It's just like that designer style just doesn't jibe with your energy, and that's fine. So anyway,
Chop and Block August.
That's Chop and Block August. That's August in general. We played 40 different games.
40 games.
We had 74 total plays.
Yeah.
And we have some new patrons.
We do have some new patrons. So every time during Rap Reviews, we shout out our new patrons for that month. So this is the new patrons in the month of August. Thank you so much, everyone who supported us in August and supported us since then. We also got a couple increases in August, which was super, super nice. But we do have some shout outs. We shout out people with their permission. So we got the Almighty J-Bolt. Some people give us nicknames to say, which is great. Almighty J-Bolt. We got Rahawala, we got Christina Bustos, we got Cody and Becca Albach, we got Aaron Stileski, Tommy Miller, and the Duff Man.
The Duff Man, oh yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you want me to call the Duff Man? He's like, oh yeah. And I was like, tight. Cool. I like this guy, Duff Man.
Cool.
But thank you so much to those new patrons. We really, really, really appreciate it. If you want to support us on Patreon, check out our Patreon, because sometimes we have stuff there that's open to the public. It just happens to live on our Patreon. Check out our Patreon, it'll be down in the description below.
Bam. And until next time, that's been Rapid Reviews. We appreciate it.
Yeah.
See you, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much for watching Rapid Reviews and sticking with us. We had a lot of games that month.
Yeah, it's a pretty good month.
Super fun.
Mike, you crushed it this month.
I was all about the games. If you want to see last month's Rapid Reviews, you can check out that. And if you look down here, there's going to be a
cool sketch.
Cool sketch down there.
What were you going to say?
I don't know. I was going to say a sexy mystery, but now...
No, it's a cool sketch down there.
It's a cool sketch down there. Don't forget to subscribe and turn that bell notification on so you know when the Brothers Murph have new videos all the time. Thumb it up.